Almost 2 years. That's how long we've been sitting in the dark waiting for this show to come back, and on July 31st, the wait is finally over. We get back to Gotham in all its gritty noir glory because all 10 episodes of Batman Caped Crusader Season 2 are dropping at once on Prime Video. But before we dive back into the 1940s, we all need to get a refresher course. And you gotta remember that Season 1 didn't leave us with a tidy ending. It left us with, well, let's get into it. So here's everything you need to remember before getting back to Gotham. Let's dive in. A Gotham that doesn't want him. First thing to keep in mind is that this version of Bruce Wayne has barely started, and not a single soul is grateful for whatever he's doing. That's gotta hurt, if he ever expressed his emotions. So this is a Batman still trying to figure out what he even is. No cave full of toys, no city that treats him like a mythic hero, no comfortable understanding with the police. When we meet him, he's an urban legend the GCPD wants behind bars. Gotham doesn't even have a bat signal, because his existence is a rumor, and not a reassuring one. What this also means is that Batman isn't the most powerful force in his own city. Not even close. Gotham in this telling has a specific trade, and that's organized crime. What better choice for a noir retelling, right? The cops are on the payroll, City Hall is compromised, and the men who actually run things do it from restaurant back rooms and nightclub booths. Bruce is a single figure in a black cape trying to punch a hole in a system that has been humming along just fine without him. He's outmatched, and the show never lets him forget it. Corrupt detectives actively hunt him, treating the Bat as a public nuisance to be exposed, rather than a crime fighter to be thanked. The hostility he faces from all corners influences pretty much every move he makes. Underneath the cowl, the tragedy is the same one you know. The little boy in the alley, the gun, the pearls on the pavement, and becoming an orphan at the end of it. But the show doesn't show it as an origin he's processed, but trauma that still cuts him open every day. This Bruce is cold, closed off, a little frightening even to the people trying to help him. He holds everyone at a distance, even Alfred, keeping his relationships clipped and functional, because he just can't afford to get too close to anyone, because what if he loses them too? Alfred spends the season worried he's watching the boy he raised disappear into the costume of a dark knight. We know he's right to worry, and so the audience worries too. How far can Batman go before Bruce Wayne gets erased completely? The war for Gotham, Thorn versus Cobblepot. If you remember nothing else, remember this. The season's main plot isn't Batman versus a villain. It's two crime powers grinding against each other while Batman goes willingly into the crossfire. On one side, Oswald de Cobblepot, a ruthless, gender-swapped version of the Penguin who runs a cabaret ship as a front for her underworld empire. On the other is Rupert Thorne, who isn't content to be a gangster and wants his hands wrapped around the city's legitimate political structure too. Their struggle for control is established early in the season, until Cobblepot is forced into hiding, leaving Thorne as the dominant force in Gotham. Every murder, every twisted scheme, and every body that turns up in the river is because these criminal heavyweights are trying to end each other. The show wastes no time, because the war kicks off right in the premiere, titled In Treacherous Waters, when Oswalda tries to wipe Thorne out by torching his warehouses. But a leak in her own circle keeps him alive. Convinced it's her younger son Aaron, she has her enforcer Iggy kill him, only for her elder son Ronald, the real informant, to run to Thorne for help, to no avail. And then finally he goes to Commissioner Gordon for protection. Batman and Barbara get Ronald to safety. Oswalda answers by firing a naval cannon into the police station, and Batman captures her at last. But the thing about this that defines the rest of the season is this. In taking her down, he hasn't cleansed the city. Not really. He actually just leaves a power vacuum that lets Thorne become dominant. Bruce tells Alfred he cannot fail like that again, and then spends 10 episodes doing exactly that. Well, sucks to be him, though the money must be nice. Anyway, so Batman can't punch his way through this, because you can't stop a turf war with a batarang. What he's really up against isn't just random crooks, but it's something that's become part of the city's structure. Money, influence, corruption going so deep into Gotham that pulling one string just tightens another. By the end of the first season, that balance of power has been rattled hard, but nobody can call it resolved. The underworld is shaken, but it still exists, and that instability is exactly the kind of vacuum that makes us bite our nails waiting for what's coming next.
Don't tell me all men are created equal, yes?
The rogues circling the edges. Because this is a detective show first, a lot of Season 1 is Batman working individual cases, and the rogues that he meets are a treat for any comics fan. In the episode And Be a Villain, Montoya and Batman chase Basil Karlo. Yep, it's Clayface, a washed-up, disfigured actor who used an experimental serum to reshape his own face, faked his death, and kidnapped an actress out of a twisted need to finally play the villain for real. He ends up slipping away before Montoya can cuff him. The episode Night Ride goes less body horror and more supernatural, with the Gentleman Ghost, the vengeful spirit of gambler Jim Craddock robbing Gotham's working class. In this one, Batman needs the occultist Linton Midnight and a blood ritual to trap him in a vial. Let no one ever say Batman only has grounded and gritty villains. Nocturne brings Natalia Knight, a tragic girl who drains life energy to survive and unintentionally kills her own brother. Batman shows exactly why he's a symbol for mercy as much as he is for justice with her, because he seeks medical help for her rather than a cell. And Moving Target pits him against Onomatopoeia, a chilling assassin leading a hit squad, in a plot that turns out to be targeting Barbara, not Jim. Oh, and you'll also catch cameos like Killer Croc and the assassin Deadshot passing through, though one blink and you'll probably miss it. Harvey Dent and his tragic fate. If there's one character whose arc defined the tragedy of Season 1, it's Harvey Dent. Who doesn't know Harvey Dent? He first appears as the idealist, the crusading candidate who wants to clean up Gotham the right way, through the law, the ballot box, and daylight. He's the diplomatic and political equivalent to what Batman keeps trying to solve with his fists in the shadows. He's ambitious, charismatic, and his run for office is on the promise to break the mob's grip of the city. He's frankly the closest thing Gotham has to legitimate hope. And he also happens to be a friend of Bruce Wayne's. Dent is someone who genuinely seems to believe the system can be saved from the inside. But as we know, the tables turn devastatingly for him in the comics. And it's the same in the show. After compromising his morals for campaign funding, Dent has acid thrown on his face in a setup orchestrated by Arthur Reeves, transforming him into the villain version we all know of. Half scarred and consumed by paranoia and rage, Dent becomes Two-Face, loses his mayoral bid, and goes on a violent spree cutting down Thorne's men before Batman stops him from killing Thorne himself. Guilt-ridden, Dent turns himself into Arkham, where Barbara Gordon signs on as his lawyer. But the story reaches its tragic end. In the finale, he takes a bullet meant for Barbara and dies in her arms after choosing redemption over revenge. Selina Kyle's brief reign as Catwoman. Selina Kyle appears in Season 1 not as a major player, but as a spoiled socialite who turns to jewel theft after her father squanders the family fortune and goes to prison. Operating as Catwoman to maintain her lavish lifestyle, her arc is just in the 3rd episode. Really, leave them wanting more, huh? Anyway, so stripped of the money she never learned to live without, she becomes a thief almost out of spite, prowling the same glittering high society events she once belonged to and lifting the jewels off the necks of her former peers. It's Selina, so obviously her chemistry with Batman is evident. The flirtation, the cat and mouse, a certain sense of kinship between them that both hate. But Batman ultimately apprehends her, and she's arrested by the GCPD and sent to prison. Like father, like daughter. So that's the twist with Selina. Unlike traditional takes where she endlessly walks the line between hero and villain alongside Bruce, usually slipping away by the end, Season 1 leaves Selina behind bars, and destitute to boot, because her maid Greta sells off her belongings and refuses to post bail. Since Batman is the one who puts her there, this leaves a door wide open for her future as Catwoman, a version that's been burned by the Bat and has every reason to come back swinging. Barbara Gordon inside a rotten system. Barbara Gordon is the moral backbone of Season 1, and the show is smart about where it places her. Not as a good cop like her father, but instead, she's on the inside of a broken institution, trying to do right without becoming one of the rats. She's not Batgirl. Yet. Here, she's a sharp, principled young public defender, daughter of Jim Gordon, one of the few honest cops in the department that's become a cop-for-hire operation for sale. She fights Gotham's corruption through courts and the law rather than on rooftops. Her arc across the season is about growing agency, about learning how much good you can actually do when the system you're working in is designed to protect the people you're trying to bring down. She butts heads with her own father over what justice truly means, and that makes her compelling in her own right, instead of just a token Nepo baby character. She comes out of Season 1 with a clearer sense of who she is and what she's willing to risk, hardened by watching a client she believed in die right in front of her. And she's a character the second season has a lot of room to explore further. Her father, Jim Gordon, is the gray zone we hear a lot about. And it's painful. He's a good man in a bad business. And throughout, he's trying to keep his integrity intact while surrounded by colleagues who abandoned theirs a long time ago. Easier said than done, I tell you. Chief among them are corrupt detectives Harvey Bullock and Arnold Flass, who spend the season hunting Batman. They even use the arsonist Firebug as live bait before murdering him to cover their tracks, and get hailed as heroes for it. Yes, Gordon's a secret ally to Batman when it counts, but he's also constantly thinking about how far can he bend the rules before he's rotten too.
Or easy.
Renee Montoya and the Gray Zone. Speaking of the GCPD, Renee Montoya has got to be talked about. She's a detective with an actual conscience, which basically makes her something close to an endangered species in this version of Gotham. It's with her that the show asks the question, what's it even mean to be a good cop in a department this compromised? Montoya is the audience's way into GCPD corruption as a lived day-to-day reality rather than an abstraction. She sees what her fellow officers take money to ignore. She has to decide over and over how much she can push before the machine pushes back. Her slow burn isn't really with Dr. Harleen Quinzel, who she shares a kiss and gets together with, but toward trusting Batman. Rather, it's about deciding he might be the lesser evil. And it happens to be one of the most human plot lines of the season. And no wonder we're all thinking about where the GCPD's loyalties might be going forward. Harley Quinn's chilling reveal. Speaking of Harleen, how can we not talk about the chilling twist with her character in Season 1? Okay, so she appears as a calm, professional psychiatrist who's truly concerned for Batman's trauma and who builds real bonds with Renee Montoya and Barbara Gordon. But she's actually already Harley Quinn in secret. The whole time we've been thinking that she's a villain in waiting whom the show was hinting at. But she was actually already there, already active, hiding in plain sight. Wearing a striking yellow and black outfit instead of the red we're used to, she kidnaps corrupt, wealthy elites to inflict psychological torture upon them in her secret lair, which is a twisted kind of justice that's a clear mirror to Bruce's vigilantism. Oh, and she also name drops a colleague by the name of Crane, who can only be Scarecrow. After a dramatic confrontation with Batman, Quinzel escapes into hiding. Instead of a reveal for Season 2, Harley Quinn is already fully unleashed and on the loose in Gotham, which means she starts the new season as a wild card who's already beaten the Bat once and slipped away. Where the finale leaves us. So how does the dust settle in Season 1? It's with major shifts across the Gotham chessboard. In the finale, Savage Night, Barbara and Batman fight to protect a repentant Dent long enough to testify against Thorne, but it ends with Harvey's death and Batman coming insanely close to shooting Flass before sparing him, and hurling the gun into the harbor, locking in his no-gun and no-kill rule. I was so pleased with that scene. Batman does put Thorne on notice, though, and hurls a batarang through his window as a promise that he's coming. Harvey Dent is tragically dead after his short stint as Two-Face, And with him goes the little hope the city once had. Selina Kyle remains in prison, while Harley Quinn is somewhere in the shadows. Barbara has stepped further into the fight. Thorne remains in power following Cobblepot's departure, and Gotham's underworld is unstable enough to be dangerous like never before. And in the final moments, the show teased something I've been waiting this whole video to mention: a certain presence in a secluded cabin, grinning and using deadly laughing toxin to murder. This happens at the very end, so if you missed it, switch on the finale and make sure to keep your eyes open. Everyone knows who this is, and more on this in a bit. What's coming in Season 2? What we know for sure is that Batman Caped Crusader Season 2 releases all 10 episodes on Friday, July 31st, 2026, exclusively on Prime Video in more than 240 countries. It's built for a full binge, the same format as the first run. The whole creative team is intact. Bruce Timm, J.J. Abrams, and Matt Reeves are still steering the ship, with James Tucker and Jeffrey Thorne among the executive producers. Hamish Linklater is back behind the cowl as Bruce Wayne. Alfred is voiced by Jason Watkins. Crystal Joy Brown gets back as Barbara Gordon. Eric Morgan Stewart is once again Jim Gordon, and then Michelle C. Bonilla's Renee Montoya and Jamie Chung's Harleen Quinzel round out the returning ensemble. The biggest confirmed addition is the one the finale promised us, because now that finale tease has been confirmed. House of the Dragon's Matthew Needham has been cast as the Joker, announced at SDCC alongside the world premiere of the season's first episode. And they're going for something different than past iterations. Needham has said the producers steered him away from the classic, manic, over-the-top clown prince toward something colder, calmer, and more unnerving. A deliberately European take. He compared it to a chilling voice on the other end of a phone line, which I do find really frightening as someone who hates phone calls. Prime Video has also confirmed the season goes deeper into the Batman mythos, and we'll get to see Edward Nygma, Carrie Kelly, and Roxy Rocket. This is very much Batman in the year 1.5 era. He is sharper and more sure of himself than the man we left, but still it's early enough that he'll make missteps. Beyond that, no spoilers, no crackpot fan theories. What we've got are the questions Season 1 left us with. How will Gotham navigate the political vacuum left by Harvey Dent's death? Will Selina Kyle remain behind bars or find a way back into the world? Where does Harley Quinn resurface now that we know she's been hiding among them all along? What's next for Barbara inside a system that keeps proving how far it'll go to stay corrupt? And what does a quiet Joker do to a Gotham that's already sitting on a powder keg after the mob war? So, on the 31st, Gotham's going to be a lot darker. And you can bet we're binging the 10 episodes the minute they come out. Let us know in the comments who you're most excited to see this season, and come back once the show is out, because we're definitely going to take it apart piece by piece. See you next time. Bye.